Hari Hari Bol, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Hare Krishna. So, we're preparing for tomorrow, and we're preparing for the future. This class is the fourth in a series of 5 classes on the Holy Name. And this presentation will focus on some things that we can seriously consider when we're chanting the holy names of the Lord. It's based, my class is fully and completely based on one book. It's called Japa. It's a recently released book this year by Borijan Prabhu, who stays in Vrindavan. And he has very carefully and seriously, through deep contemplation and through serious study on the holy name, come up with 9 keys to better chanting based on Shikshastakam prayers. The Shikshastakam prayers are Lord Chaitanya's expression of ecstasies of the glories of the holy name. And each of the prayers corresponds to a couplet of the holy name. The first prayer is Hare Krishna. Second prayer is Hare Krishna, third prayer is Krishna Krishna, the fourth prayer is Hare Hare, fifth prayer is Hare Rama, sixth is Hare Rama, seventh Hare Hare, and eighth is Rama Rama Hare Hare. Yes. So, Shikshastakam prayers are the embodiment of the holy name, none different. So, what we'll be doing is I'll be speaking and Chaitanya Nitai Prabhu will be writing some things on the board, and Borijan Prabhu has come up with 9 keys to better chanting. And we'll list those 9 keys. And these will be what I think, from my own realizations and practice, these 9 things are all you need to really to understand how to improve your japa. Now, I don't think there's anything outside of these 9. But you can see just by using these how to, at any point in your japa, you can use one or more of these keys to bring quality into your chanting. This book is interesting. I don't know if it's available in America. Yes, I think it was out in India. I got a copy when I was there during the Gaur Purnima festival. These 9 keys are, we say, I'll read a little bit and then we'll just explain what these are. The first key is chant Hare Krishna. That's it. So chanting is the method for self-realization in this age. Krishna, what is that verse? Kaler dosha nidhi rajan asti eko mahagunaha kirtana eva krishnasya mukta sangam param bhajan. Each of the ages, there are 4 ages, and there is the Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, and Kali Yuga. Each of the ages have a particular means of self-realization that has been given prominence by the Lord Himself. It's coming through Scripture, but from the Lord Himself. So the first age was the Astanga Yoga system, the Eightfold Mystic Yoga system. That was in Satya Yuga. Treta Yuga, that was very costly and elaborate Vedic sacrifices with highly qualified Brahmins using great amounts of wealth and very ostentatious and very, what we say, exact presentations of fire sacrifices, and something we cannot possibly even begin to do in this age. The third is the Dwapara Yuga, very elaborate and very, what we say, developed forms of worshipping the Lord in His deity form, the Archavigra. So each of the ages is given. But in this age, the means for self-realization is chanting Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Etavameva lokesmin pumsam dharma param smrita bhakti yogo bhagavati tamnama grahanadi bi. This verse is from the 6th canto, 3rd chapter, verse number 22, from the words of Yamaraj himself. He's speaking to his followers, the Yamadutas, when they came back in their frustrated attempt to bring the soul of Ajamyo to Yamaraj. He explained that the chanting of the holy names is the essence of the essence. He explains what is the essence. The essence of all activities within human society is to render devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the essence of that essence is to chant Hare Krishna. So the best activity, or the means for success in all activities, is to serve the Lord. And the best way, and most recommended, and most powerful way for service is to glorify the Lord by chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So the first key is to chant Hare Krishna. I mean, we can chant so many different mantras, and there are many mantras throughout the Vedas. But the first one is that the glorification of the Lord in this age is to chant the Hare. And how? How often? Sada. Kirtaniya sadarahi. That means, Srila Prabhupada used to say, 16 rounds minimum. Minimum. It's not maximum. It's even when we give the initiation vows, we say, do you agree to chant at least 16 rounds? That means what you have to do. But devotional service is meant to take you beyond the point of have to, into the area of want to. And from the area of want to means can't wait till to. And to the area of can't wait to until it becomes like labor pains. You're ready to give birth. So the point is, chanting Hare Krishna is sada. It's meant to be like that. 16, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, by chanting every day, you'll chant always. Taking numerical vows for chanting every day brings you to the point of chanting always. But without establishing a numerical vow and following that very strictly, one cannot increase their, what we say, attachment to the holy name like that. So that's the most important. That's very important. So chant Hare Krishna always. Always remember Krishna in all way, at all times. And the best way is to chant Hare Krishna. So Lord Chaitanya personally, from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila 3rd, Adi Lila chapter 3, verse number 20, he personally inaugurated the Yuga Dharma. He came to deliver the means for self-realization in this age. This, I think, we hear this, but we don't really hear it. It goes in one ear and out the other. As Ayendra was saying, unless we really understand deeply how essential this chanting is, we won't take it up seriously. It's meant to be done sada, 24 hours a day. That's what it's meant to be. And in that way, one can get a real taste for the chanting of the holy names. Because this is one of the reasons why we have decided to chant 32 rounds tomorrow. What is the purpose of increased japa? To give you a chance to increase quality. Quantity is not the goal, but quantity does help to bring quality. And from quality, quantity expands. You practice quantity, and then quality develops, and then from quality, quantity continues. Like this. So it's all about quality, but there are ways to bring about quality, and that's to chant. Chant, chant, chant. Did you write that down? First key is chant Hare Krishna. Now, pay attention to this second key, because this is one I think you'll find very, very helpful in your day-to-day practice of japa. Second key is Now this will be a very revolutionary statement, but through practice you'll find that this second key is so important that it's the foundation for your success, and that is listen to one mantra. Listen to one mantra. That's all. All you have to do is chant one mantra. That's all. The mind has a tendency to move fast. It's thinking 16 rounds. It's already chanting 16 rounds while it's chanting wherever it is. It likes to go forward. When you're on the Hares, it's on the Ramas. It's on, when you're on the Krishnas, it's on the Ramas. We generally chant too fast and we don't hear. Speed comes by what we say absorption. Absorption comes by concentration. Concentration comes by slowing down. So if you can hear just one mantra, that is enough to purify your heart. Or one name, actually. Not even speak of one mantra. So slow down. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. This will be a very important guiding principle in your japa. I find that when I do my japa in the morning, I start off like that. Hare Krishna, Krishna, till my mind actually catches the sound. And then when the mind catches the sound, then it starts to become absorbed in that sound. And then concentration starts to go deeper and deeper like that. But japa is not a race. Japa is not it's not, the idea of getting your rounds done is one of the most detrimental thoughts in destroying the quality of our japa. When you start thinking, I have to finish my rounds. Then what does it mean? That means all you're concerned about is finishing your rounds. It's not about finishing your rounds. You can imagine Krishna. Krishna's on the other side. He's thinking, this person wants to get rid of me by finishing. He doesn't really want to do this, but he does it. So it's not about meeting me, it's about getting his vow done. So I'll be back. I'll see you later. Krishna he's gone. The idea is to try to come in contact with Krishna through the sound of his name. So this one mantra, just like when we just did that chanting, just if you can remember, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. Now just think, when we just did that, what part of the mantra did you focus on? Where did you start from the first Hari, or did you catch the sound when we were still on the Ramas? The mind is like, where is it? It's not really connected to the sound. To hear is not just like the sound is just somewhere out there. Hearing means really focusing on that sound. So therefore this one mantra meditation program is very, very important, because when you find yourself chanting and you're not listening, then go back to this key and carefully chant one mantra. In other words, slow down. You'll see yourself sometimes when your mind will go off, and all of a sudden you'll just realize, I'm not listening. And for whatever reason, then you just stop and again slow down. If it takes you longer than you plan to chant your rounds, then that is okay, because the goal is not to finish, but to purify our heart. And therefore it is japa meditation. It's not like japa, what's it called, racetrack. If you're chanting nicely, the rounds should be anywhere between 7 and 8 minutes, even 6.5, like that. You can time yourself. But watch your mind. Now the second one, This helps to keep the mind focused. But you'll still see, even when you slow down and try to do this thing, the mind will say, what's going on? What's going on? It doesn't want to do it. The mind doesn't like to behave. It's very much restless, just like I'm speaking to now, and some of you are not listening. But that's all right. I speak anyway. Because that's what I'm supposed to do. But I can tell when everyone's concentrated, because the energy comes. When the energy doesn't come, I can see it's going this way and that way, because the thought process. You can pick up on people's energies just by... That's why I can see each one of you completely right now. I know if you're listening or not. And Krishna knows if you're listening. But you don't have to listen to me. It's not... But since you're here, why not? Might as well. The point is that this is what we do with our japa too. That's the point I was trying to make. We're chanting the holy names, but we're not focused. Because the mind doesn't want to be controlled. It doesn't. As soon as you try to control the mind, it becomes more restless than it was when you didn't try to control it. That's the nature of the mind. The mind is very restless. So this one mantra program helps to keep the mind from going all over the place. Now when you start to hear, the mind will say, oh, you're doing good. And then after a few seconds, you're not doing good. Because the mind will start to analyze what's going on. It likes to do that also. So the third thing is, well, that's not the third one. The third one is, which is very similar. Let's see, the third key. The second key is listen to one mantra. You got that one. Okay, the third one is state your determination. What are you doing when you're chanting? What are you trying to do? Have a what is called your sankalpa, your goal in mind. What am I doing? Am I just trying to fulfill a vow? Or your determination? What is your determination? What do you want to achieve by your chanting? And keep that focus, because that determined goal will be used when the mind goes off. Are you just simply chanting so you can get good ideas on how to do your work? Like that. What is your why are you chanting? State your determination for chanting. I think Borijan expresses that. I'll read a little bit from that section so you get a clear understanding of what he's saying. State your determination. Giving the mind a simplified task only works in conjunction with the third key, determination. To direct the mind, we need to form a statement of fixed determinative purpose. The mind will always tell us we have something more important to do than chant Hare Krishna. We have to be determined enough to disregard the mind and to focus on the mantra. In my chanting, I have seen that unless I form a goal, a sankalpa, I generally will not have the ability to listen carefully to one mantras, understand the task, and be determined to execute. All I have to do is to listen to one Hare Krishna Mahamantra, nothing more and nothing less. So you get the point? Don't be into the next mantra, be in that mantra. This mantra is the only one you're in. There's no path. Don't lament about, oh, how many times you didn't hear. Oh, I just blew it. And don't think in terms of the future, well, will it get better? Just focus on that sound like that. If you have to slow down, do that. But keep that connection with the sound. That's the important thing. The sankalpa can be stated quickly and subtly. It can touch our thinking as lightly as a gentle breeze, and there's no need to pause between mantras to affirm it. We simply have to remember why we are sitting with the bead back in hand. You get the point? Yeah, it's not just a ritual. We have to understand why we're doing it. Chanting japa is not an invitation to the mind to wander wherever it chooses. It's the time to enter our personal relationship with Krishna. This is the most important thing. It's a time to enter into our personal relationship with Krishna. Everything we aspire for is available in the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. But to fulfill those aspirations, we must give the mantra our full attention. When we have gathered the necessary determination, we should then focus the mind on the simple task of listening to one mantra. Okay, back to that. We shouldn't worry about the mantra that will follow the one we're chanting now, and certainly we shouldn't worry about the one that we have preceded. Don't try to chant 16 good rounds or 10 high-quality Mahamantras. Just chant and attentively hear one mantra. It sounds quite revolutionary, but it works. It helps the mind to slow down. Because meditation means bringing the mind to a more slower state of activity and clearing away this, like all these thoughts that come in and out of our mind. They'll still come. But the rest of the keys will help you deal with that. This is the third key, is to distort your determination. I'm trying to meet Krishna in the mantra. We can be determined only about one mantra we are chanting now. If we think ahead, even to plan greater determination for subsequent mantras, the mind will respond with increased passion and we will lose its focus on the holy name. We have to accomplish when we have chanted what we have accomplished when we have chanted one mantra with attention. We have allowed our consciousness to touch Krishna's transcendental holy name. We have bathed our consciousness in sweetness. So if you can hear one mantra clearly, that is powerful. The results are that coming to simply one Mahamantra. But we might say, my mind is too quick. It's off before I catch it. If I won't listen to one mantra, then request it to listen to one name. Even one mantra may be too much for the mind to listen to. Listen to one name. The point is, slow down. The state of meditation, according to the scientific analysis of brain waves, is the state where the mind is at its slowest state of activity. There are what is called alpha waves, there are beta waves, there are gamma waves, and then there are delta waves. The delta waves are similar to the waves that the mind has during the state of sleep. But in meditation, delta waves are also the prominent. So the mind has to slow down. So this is how you slow down your mind, by hearing one mantra. Back to that same formula. Bring that mind into that mantra. So in order to do that, or in order to facilitate that, you have to be somewhat in an atmosphere where there's very little distraction, or we might say no distraction. If you live at home, most of you do, create an environment free from distraction. His Holiness Sachinandana Maharaj calls it, create your sacred space. Get a place in your house. Don't chant in a place where you do your work or you're pretty much doing everything else throughout the day, because as soon as you see things that remind you of your day-to-day activities, your mind will start to think, and then you'll lose focus like that. And so have a little area, maybe where your deities are, and where it's somewhat quiet. Those of you who have children, I know it's very difficult to chant because you have to take care of the children. Therefore you have to find time when the children are either sleeping or someone else is taking care of it. Then you can't hold the baby with one arm and chant the other. It's just like the baby requires attention, and so does Krishna. And so which baby are you going to attend to? So the point is that it's practically impossible. It's not impossible, it's actually offensive to do something while chanting the holy names. So that's the third key. State your determination. Okay, the fourth key is, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, from wherever the mind wanders, bring it back. Part of applying the third key, determination, is to be determined to bring the mind back to wherever it wanders. Okay, it's going to wander. It's just its nature. It's going to wander. We have to be determined to listen to one mantra no matter what. Back to that same. What the mind says. By nature, the mind is nischalati astitam, agitated and unsteady. The mind is, that's the nature of the mind. Your mind is always moving from one thought, one idea to another. And especially in this age of Kali, the society has increased mind agitation so much that you see nowadays it's very, very difficult for young people to perform meditation as opposed to 50 years ago. It was a lot easier. Because people are so much affected by this television society. I don't recommend you watch television, but the images on the television are moving on the average 2 to 3 seconds. No image stays. And then they have this, you've seen that speed up thing, they go, all these images, you wonder, you've seen that? You know, the TVs, they just go, and there's about 10 images in like 2 seconds. Like, that's what they do, because they don't want you to think. Because if you think, you might decide to turn off the television. But the point is that that's our minds are being dragged from one thought to another, to another, to another, and to another. We have no center. Our consciousness is being pulled this way, that way, this way, that way. So when you chant japa, it's completely the opposite. It's the idea of bringing that restless and what we say, quickly moving mind down to one focus, just on Krishna's name. It's very difficult. So it takes a regimented process that by applying these different keys, you can gradually slow your mind down and focus on Krishna's holy name like that. So the mind's going to wander. Bring the mind back. Just bring it back, that's all. It goes away, bring it back, bring it back, bring it back, that's all. Don't let it go away, because if it goes away, the longer it stays away, the harder it is to bring it back. The longer it stays on the mantra, the easier it is to chant. And the longer it stays away from the mantra, the harder it is to bring it back when you have to try to bring it back. The fifth key is detachment. Freedom in chanting comes from focusing on one mantra we are currently chanting. Same point again. Even if we have terribly chanted hundreds of mantras, we cannot go back and re-chant them. Neither can we know whether we will chant attentive mantras in the future. Therefore, we must chant detached from the past and the future. That's important. And place all our attention on the present attempt to hear. And he talks about, he said, I remember the first time I heard the Hare Krishna mantra. It was 1970 and I was a brahmachari in Tokyo, Japan temple. I was pacing back and forth on the mats when suddenly I heard myself pronounce the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Maybe you've had that experience. I had been chanting for more than 2 years, by this time, in my sudden hearing and the power of the sweetness of the mantra shocked me. I thought, this is why they tell you have to listen while you chant. Imagine what it would have been like if I had heard all the mantras like this, all 16 rounds. We focus on one mantra because it's impossible to listen to 2 mantras at the same time. What to speak of 16 rounds worth of mantra. We are only capable of listening to one mantra we are uttering at the moment. Therefore, we have to keep bringing the mind back to the simple task of listening. And Prabhupada used to say that, just hear, just hear. But the mind doesn't let you. But you have to try to fight that mind and bring it back to the sound of Krishna. Sometimes devotees who have tried this technique have noticed that their mind wanders during the first half of the mantra, and they don't begin to concentrate until they reach the second part. Don't worry. Catch your mind and allow the sound of Rama to lead you to the first Hari of the next mantra. And be detached. If we find we have listened to our first 15 rounds, even if we didn't properly if we find we haven't listened to our first 15 rounds, then even if we didn't properly hear any mantras, even any one of the names of Krishna, never mind. We do not have the freedom to bring those mantras back. Neither can we promise to do better in the future. We have only enough freedom to listen to the mantra, starting with the one holy name we are now chanting. There is no point lamenting about the past or worrying about the future. Better to simply hear the one mantra we are chanting in the present. So that's what it means to be detached. Don't worry about the past. Don't lament about the past. Don't worry about the future. Hearing even one mantra is wonderful. If you can practice these 5 keys, you're on your way. Okay, now he gives more, what we say, points about the mind and how the mind will try to cheat us in so many. So the 6th key is neglect the mind. So what's the difference between bringing the mind back and neglecting the mind? They're somewhat similar, but there's a slight difference. And what is that neglect the mind? If you want to chant good japa, you have to learn not to think about anything else. Prabhupada makes one statement. Here, I'll read it. This is not the statement. This is not the International Society for Mind Neglect. Mind neglect is the ultimate purpose of the focus of Buddhism. Those who practice vipassana meditation, for example, try to experience their sense stimulation as separate from the mind's interpretation of those experiences. So you're watching your mind go through all these different thoughts. Eradicating their interpretations, they believe, will remove the essential experience of human suffering. Vipassana adherents and others of similar past therefore simply observe the mind, slowing it down and ultimately trying to stop it from interacting with sense perception. Observing the mind does quiet it, and when it is quieted, the mind reverts to its natural state of the mode of goodness. So if you're connected with the mind, it's going to take you. Observing the mind allows you to sit back and see the thoughts and don't identify or release the thoughts like that. The mind just, the thoughts are coming, and just dismiss them, that's all. They're not important. But the mind will say, this is important. You got to think of this now. This is important now. You forgot to do this. You forgot to do that. You should be doing this. You have this duty. So many things. It will take you on a roller coaster of seemingly important things which will divert your attention away from the sound of Krishna's name. So learn how to neglect the mind. And Prabhupada he states one verse here. This is from, there is one easy way, this is from Srimad Bhagavatam, 5:11-17. This is from the purport. There is one easy weapon with which the mind can be conquered. It's called neglect. Neglect. The mind is always telling us, do this or that. Therefore, we should be very expert in disobeying the mind's orders. Gradually, the mind should be trained to obey the orders of the soul. It's not that one should obey the orders of the mind. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur used to say that to control the mind, one should beat it with shoes many times just after awakening and again before going to sleep. And this way one can control the mind. This is the instruction of all the Shastras. If one does not do so, one is doomed to follow the dictations of the mind. So that's from Srimad Bhagavatam. So what does it mean to beat the mind? Sometimes you have to kind of like make a deal with your mind. O mind, I grasp your feet and beg you with sweet words, please throw away all your pride and develop intense extraordinary love for my spiritual master, for Rajabhumi, for the people of Raj, for the Vaishnavas, for the Brahmins, for the Gayatri Mantra, for the holy name, and for the transcendental shelter that is the youthful couple of Raj. Pride sits in the mind, the ever-present representative of false ego. But pride can be conquered by offering oneself wholly as the affectionate service of the spiritual master and of the holy persons, places, and things mentioned in this verse. So sometimes you have to make a deal with your mind. My dear mind, I know you have your program, but I have my program. And actually my program is better than your program because it's for your benefit also. But still you will not listening. So let's make a deal. So you tell the mind, I'll promise later I'll let you do whatever you want, but for now just chant Hare Krishna. So what you're doing is you're lying to your mind. You don't really say that. You're not going to let him do what he wants later, but he believes you. And so he'll say, all right, I surrender now. But remember, you have to keep your promise. Yes, I'll keep my promise. There's you and there's your mind. Remember, there's two people. They're not the same. You are not your mind. Your mind is what we say is part of the subtle body, which is part of the material body, and it's the composite of all desires and activities for many lifetimes. And the mind has a program. He wants to keep the false ego going. He is the servant of the false ego in the mind. So the mind wants to somehow or other keep the false ego happy by fulfilling the demands of the false ego. That's all. But you want to engage your mind in hearing the sound of Krishna's name. So when thoughts come, just learn how to neglect them. That's all. Let them go. That's all. They're not important. It's hard to do that. It's hard to do that because the mind will continually come up with reasons why you should be thinking about other things like that. But bring it back. Nischalati astiram. Constantly bring the restless mind back. It wanders, bring it back, wanders, bring it back. But how do you bring it back? Here's the key. Listen to one mantra. There's the key again. It's not like you can bring it back just by pulling it back. You have to re-engage it in the sound of Krishna's name. So again, slow down, go to one mantra. You'll find that when you're not chanting attentively, you're chanting fast. You're chanting fast and your mind is somewhere else. And then you realize, I'm not hearing anything. Okay, slow down. And again here, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. And at that point, then one mantra, again another mantra, a mantra. Gradually the mind is again refocusing on Krishna's name. So that's the, is it fifth key? Sixth key. Sixth key is neglect the mind. Okay. We can speak a lot about that one, but I'll leave that one open for questions. The seventh key is very important. Trinadapi sunichena. Humility. One cannot simply conquer Krishna by your determination to chant. One has to chant in a mood of submission to the Lord. Humility is mentioned throughout the scriptures as the quality that attracts Krishna's attention. So without humility, one cannot do anything in spiritual life, especially chanting. It's foremost in the practice of chanting. What does it mean to be humble? To be in a position of calling for Krishna's mercy. So chanting really means that it's not that I'm going to bring Krishna by my mantra techniques. I'm neglecting the mind. I'm doing my one mantra. I stated my determination. I'm fixed. I got my sacred space. Everything is there. But now the results are bound to come. No. One has to be humble. One has to be begging for the mercy of the Lord. One has to be in a position of calling. And Srila Prabhupada used to emphasize that Hare is coming from the word hara. Hara is Radharani, but Hare is when you call. So it's called the vocative. So when you're chanting, you're calling. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram. It's a call. So in your heart, you're actually calling, you're beseeching the Lord to appear in His name, to come and associate with you through the sound of His name. So that's humility. So we're in the mood of a beggar. Not like, I'm going to conquer Krishna by chanting His name. You can't. You can't conquer Krishna, you have to open your heart where Krishna wants to come and sit there. That's all. So humility is one of the essential keys that was mentioned by Lord Chaitanya as the feature of success. Actual humiliation seems to come even before humility. If I compare the determinations I made with actually what I did and the results of that, the truth becomes clear. My determined effort to advance in Krishna consciousness, renouncing once and for all of my anarthas, my offenses, and my petty material desires that have invaded my consciousness, they have not brought me success. I become painfully aware of my incapacity, overcome by things unrelated to Krishna, things I have chosen to indulge in. Now I find myself embarrassed. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu prescribes humility as the path to pure chanting, for it will in time be followed by full dependence on Krishna. Humility is the natural result of a sincere desire to advance in Krishna consciousness. It's easy for those who are not serious about advancement to think that they are advancing quickly. They may even wonder why so many devotees struggle when Krishna consciousness is obvious, natural, and easy. These young souls conceive of devotional service as a series of activities rather than a full surrendering of the heart. This is the difference. Just by performing activities doesn't mean you're actually making advancement. The heart has to be submissive to the Lord. But those who actually want to love Krishna and purify their heart have to turn on the light in the room of their consciousness, a room that they discover that has not been cleaned since time immemorial. And the thing about cleaning the heart is like cleaning a room that has never been cleaned is a lot of dust. It's about 300 miles worth of dust. And sometimes you go into a room that's dirty and it looks clean. It doesn't look so dirty. Maybe there's some surface dirt. But as you start cleaning, those of you who like to clean, you'll see that the more you clean, the more dust you find. Like, you could really clean this temple. It would take about 2 years, I think, maybe. And that would just be the first floor. Sorry. I had to throw that one in there. But the temple is like a heart. The heart is also like the temple. And Krishna likes to likes clean temples. So when you clean your heart, you're actually making a place for Krishna to sit. And He doesn't like to sit in a dirty heart, just like He doesn't like dirty temples. So when you clean, you're actually preparing Krishna for a seat. But the more you clean, the more you actually see the dirt. Just like this room. You look at it, doesn't look so bad. Just start cleaning. You'll start seeing dirt everywhere. You can't find, it appears through the process of cleaning. So the heart is like that. Usually a devotee who comes into Krishna consciousness and he practices for a year or two, thinks they're enthusiastic, they think, gee, very soon I'll be a pure devotee. I'm right on the edge. I actually, maybe I even made it already. Well, that's called PDS, Pure Devotee Syndrome. It's a sickness. And the more you practice, the more you realize how contaminated you are. And you see the prayers of Bhaktivinoda Thakur and the great acharyas. They're saying, Jagai and Madai Papishta Lagishta. I'm lower than Jagai and Madai. One who chants my name becomes sinful. one who hears my name loses all their pious credits. They're not just speaking some nice eulogies to impress people. They're feeling like that. Jai Shri Shri Radha Gopi Balavan Ki Jai. The point is that this is the nature of how bhakti works. The more you clean, the more dust you see. It's like that. So humility is the broom for humility is the light that allows the broom of the holy name to clean nicely. If you try to clean in a dark room, it's pretty hard. Humility gives you the light to see the dark. So what is humility? That's a whole series of discussions that we can actually turn into a seminar. But humility really means that Krishna is great and I'm small. And Krishna is great and I'm small. And I'm dependent on Krishna for everything. That's humility. So then that's the seventh key, is humility. We cannot control Krishna's response to our humble attempts to chant. Neither can we control what karma reactions he has arranged for our purification. We are completely dependent on his mercy. When we start to understand how dependent we are, we become humble. Now, humble doesn't cause one to become, what we say, less enthusiastic. That's a false sense of humility. Sometimes people, they say, well, low self-esteem and humility is similar. No. Low self-esteem is just a aberration of the mind, not knowing who you are. You wanted to be the king of the world, you couldn't make it, so you feel bad about yourself. That's called low self-esteem. But you can't be king of the world because that's not your position. But who are you? You're eternally Krishna's servant. So when you know that, that means you actually understand your identity. And from that position of understanding your identity, you can take shelter of Krishna and become empowered. So your real humility actually inspires one to become enthusiastic like that. So humility. What is the connection between humility and constant and inoffensive chanting? Humility makes us beg to serve the devotees, our spiritual master, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu, and Sri Sri Radha Krishna. As our aspiration grows, we will see how weak it is, and we will want that treasure. We will soon realize that our only hope to attain our goal is to take shelter of the holy names. When the desire to serve Krishna is mixed with humility and full awareness of both our impurity and our inability, we will have found the key to taking shelter of Krishna's name. Even the ability to take shelter of Krishna's name is difficult, but when we're humble, it becomes easy. Because humility allows Krishna's mercy to come through. Okay. So that's the seventh key. The eighth key is, let's go back here and find out. The eighth key is Namasraya. 7 Namasraya. So what is Namasraya? Namasraya literally means finding shelter at the feet of the holy name. We are servants who need the shelter of our masters, especially of Nam Prabhu. If we actually wish to offer seva, we must become humble and then seek shelter. Steadily and fully taking shelter of Krishna is the highest platform of steadiness. There's no way to circumvent it if we wish to reach the higher stage of bhakti. But few of us willingly choose humility, which is so bitter to the false ego. Still, humility is a reflection of this true self. We are not only servants, but insignificant servants eternally. So Nam Asraya is, Bhaktivinoda Thakur sings a song. If your mind is always absorbed in chanting the glories of Lord Krishna with great care, then by that process of Sri Krishna Kirtan you will attain transcendental qualifications. You should give up all false pride and always consider yourself to be worthless, destitute, and lower, more humble than a blade of grass. You should practice forgiveness like that of a tree, and giving up violence towards other living beings, you should protect and maintain them. In the course of passing your life, you should never give anxiety to others, but rather do good to them while forgetting about your own happiness. When one has thus become a great soul possessing all good qualities, one should abandon all desires for fame and honor and make one's heart humble. Knowing that Lord Krishna resides within all living creatures, one should with great respect constantly show honor to all beings. By possessing these four qualities, humility, mercifulness, respect towards others, and the renunciation of desires for prestige, one becomes virtuous. In such a state you may sing the glories of the Supreme Lord. Weeping, Bhaktivinoda submits his prayer at the lotus feet of the Lord. O Lord, when will you give me the qualification for possessing attributes such as these? So that's from That's from Bhaktivinoda Thakur's commentary on the third verse of Shikshastakam prayers. Life is temporary and filled with various miseries. What should we do about this inescapable truth? Therefore, carefully take shelter of the holy name and always remain in his service as your eternal companion. So he goes on and on. This is Namasraya, fully taking shelter of Krishna's holy name without any sense of motivation, completely giving up all desires for name, fame, and on all levels. That's the 8th key. And the 9th key is Krishna's causeless mercy. That's the last key. If we wish our attachment to Krishna and our desire to serve him to increase, we need this 9th key. It is the master key. The key that opens all the doors to our advancement and to everything that has been discussed in this book. Ultimately, we can depend only on this key, on Krishna's causeless mercy. We may try to advance using all tricks and techniques we have been taught and may have been taught by others, but it won't be long before we realize that all technique and all form of endeavor will always prove to be 2 fingers too short. Referring to that pastime of Mother Yasoda trying to bind up Lord Krishna. So we have to beg for the mercy of the Lord. Ultimately, that's the key that makes all the other keys work. Okay, so these are some tips, but always remember that one mantra formula. When the mind is going this way and that way, bring it back here, one mantra. Chant with the desire to meet the Lord in the holy name. Any questions? 9 keys. And yes. One can chant 24 hours a day, but when one chants their prescribed rounds on beads, that should be free from all other activities. Because it's japa, meditation. Meditation, means concentration. How can you concentrate if your mind is thinking and doing other things? You may think you're hearing the sound. And you may also be hearing to some degree. But Krishna's not there. Because you split your time between him and something else. It's like, so you may, And you should chant 24 hours a day while you're washing your car, driving your car, taking care of the babies. You should even do it while you're sleeping. But on your beads, when you have to chant your prescribed rounds, those means no other activities. So Prabhupada said 16 rounds on beads, innumerable rounds off the beads. So off the beads means you can be doing your other things and just chanting. That's all. Because you want to remember Krishna, and chanting is the best way to remember Krishna. But when it comes to our japa, our prescribed japa, we make a vow to the spiritual master, to the fire, to the Vaishnavas, and to the Supreme Lord, I will chant 16 rounds on beads every day without fail. That means with full attention, or trying to bring about full attention. But you may do these other things, but not for your prescribed rounds. If you have too much service, then you should arrange where you can have a sufficient time to do your japa. Prabhupada said, my most important instruction to my disciples is to chant 16 rounds on beads every day without fail. Most important instruction. So, that means with attention. There's no excuse. If you have early morning service, then do your service and chant it another time. Don't squeeze your rounds in. It's not this is not about rituals. We're not into rituals. We're into devotion. Devotion means concentration on Krishna. It's not about rituals. Rituals means you go through the motions and you do all these things and you think, oh, I did so much. What is the value of just doing things? There is value, but the idea is this is about focusing the mind on Krishna. And japa is the best and recommended way. Okay? Something else I was going to say. While you're chanting, and you might find yourself in a situation where you need one of these keys or more. It may be the one mantra key, it may be the humility key, it may be the determination key. So also be aware of that some of these keys will play an intricate part of what you need at a certain time during your japa. So you can use these keys. I mean, if you have another idea how to improve your japa and it works, that's nice. But I find this very scientific and very helpful. This is not the ISKCON recommended formula. It is a formula that's been done by a devotee who's carefully studies and practices chanting for years. So he's come up with this form, and it's based on his study of the Shikshastika prayers. But I find in my own personal experience, this one mantra thing, it works really nice. And just recently, after giving a class, some girl came up to me and said, this is really helpful, this one mantra thing. I'm really getting a lot out of it. Because we're just racing through the japa, We're not Haridas Thakur. Haridas Thakur was absorbed. Although he was chanting fast, he was absorbed. First get absorbed, then your speed will come. But you can't substitute speed for anything else. Hearing is first. It's all about hearing Krishna's name. Yes?
I found that the slower I try to chant, the more I'd rather get in that people speak.
Picks up madam, yeah. If you go too slow, you can space out, but you have to hear nicely. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. Wasn't that nice? That was nice. Want to do it again? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nice. So just hear nicely, and then as generally, if you see, Srila Prabhupada he was teaching japa, and they have the recorded japa tapes. He starts off like that. It's very methodical, very concentrated, very slow. And as the tape goes on, you see the speed naturally. So that's what it means, to catch that sound. And once you're catching it, when your mind goes off, it's not so hard to bring it back. But if you never caught it, then you never, you're just, where are you? You have to catch that sound somehow. Another trick that I find in my own thing is the sound is right here. It's not over there. So just kind of like, put the ears right here. If you could do that, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. The sound is right there. Yeah. Don't worry about ecstasy. If you're not feeling ecstasy, it doesn't mean you're not chanting nicely. Krishna, when the last key is Krishna's mercy, he'll bring the ecstasy. It's not about trying to be ecstatic. It's about hearing and being in the mood of submission. That's what it's about hearing. So the ecstasy will happen by Krishna's reign. Don't try to access the sweetness of the holy name. The holy name is independent. It will come when it's pleased. It'll come when you're chanting nicely. You can't force ecstasy. You can't force Krishna to appear like that. Yes.
Personally, I found that sankalpa really helps. For example, sometimes I think about going to the street, like 10 Bhagavad Gita or something.
Yeah.
And fix my mind on it.
Yeah.
It really helps. And
Yeah.
it's interesting how it manifests in a period of time.
Yes, sankalpa, have a determination what you want to do. Sometimes we just do things because that's the way we do things.
But sometimes, is it okay to think of something Krishna related, I don't know, like prashadam, like you're chanting, you say, oh, this prashadam is so good, but it's not, you're thinking of Krishna, but you're not really hearing the holy name, so
If the mind comes in, then just go to, don't dwell on these things. If you dwell on them, then you're into a prasadam mood. The thought comes, all right, and then go back to the mantra again. It's about hearing. And as we mentioned, I think yesterday, Prabhupada writes, the form of the Lord will appear in the mind when the chanting is being done properly. So if you surreptitiously, or what we say, just forcibly try to bring Krishna's form in your mind, it'll be difficult. Just try to hear the sound. The form will appear when the sound is chanted nicely. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Nice, isn't it? It's fun. I'm just joking. No, it is fun. But the point I'm trying to make is that there's nothing sweeter than the holy name. I have these prayers. I'll bring them tomorrow morning. I'll read these prayers tomorrow for class. So tomorrow, get up as early as you can and start chanting. And then At 8 o'clock, we'll have a short, quick class to review some of the points, and hopefully it'll be a half-hour class. And then everyone can sit in the temple, and chanting together brings about a nice atmosphere. And then we can try to, by 12 o'clock, we'll try to finish 32 rounds. If you start chanting at 8 and try to make it by 12, it's going to be difficult. And then you'll be racing. So get up early. We did it in Chicago 3 weeks ago, and then at 1 o'clock we had, was it 12 or 12:30? We have what is it called? Realizations. One little boy, he was about 10 years old. We asked him how many rounds did you chant? He chanted 64. We were only doing 32. He did 64. Then Romapad Swami asked him, "What time did you get up?" He said, 2:30. So he was determined to do his rounds like that. So tomorrow, make a little sacrifice. Get up a little and start chanting. And that way you don't have to, you can finish 32 rounds nicely. How many of you chant 32 rounds every day? How many of you chant 32 rounds on Ekadasi? How many of you have never chanted 32 rounds? Here's a chance. Now you can begin. Prabhupada started the movement, he said 64 rounds a day. But then the devotee said, "Well, we can't do that, Prabhupada. It's too much." He said, "All right, 32. And they still started to argue. Prabhupada said 16, no less. So, yeah, 32 rounds. Sometimes Bhakti Siddhanta, he was chanting 64 rounds a day as a regulation. I know devotees who chant. Mahanidhi Swami chants 64 rounds every day. I know many devotees who chant 64. I know many who chant 32. So it's not that hard. Once you get a taste, I'll tell you one thing. I'll tell you a little bit about your future. When you're up there in the higher numbers, you don't want to stop. You just think, let's keep going. When you're chanting 16, once we get past the 16 rounds, and then around 20, 25, then they start getting really nice. And when you hit 40, they're really sweet. And when you're up to 64, you think, let me try for 128. It's like that. The holy name's like that. The more you get into it, the nicer it gets. It's so sweet. And you think, what? I don't want to do anything else. I don't want to read. I don't want to do any seva. I just want to chant. It's like that. We do these Japa Retreats. You've seen those Japa Retreats? How many have been on the Japa Retreat? I'm sure some of you have. Nobody? Nobody has been to the Japa Retreats in upstate New York? They have 64 round days. And that day, you don't speak the whole day. You just chant. In the evening, you have discussions. No talking. Just chanting the whole day. It's very sweet. So, the holy name's everything. And so, Lord Chaitanya made it everything, and it remains the focus of our spiritual advancement. Everything centers on holy name. Any other questions? Yes.
Do we need to sit and chant, or can we walk?
Oh, yeah, of course. You can walk. Yeah, walking is also good. Walking is, for those who feel like it's, you would like to walk, that's fine. I find myself, personally, I do some sitting and some walking like that. I start sitting, and then after a while I have this desire to walk, and then I sit again. So, whatever helps you to, when you're walking, one of the things that you bring in more opportunities for distraction. So how do you overcome that? Look at the floor. It's actually recommended that for those who are walking, just watch the floor. There's nothing to see down there. But if you're walking, you're passing this person, that person, or you're looking at the walls and something like that. And so that you don't want to do. So just look at the floor and hear the sound, that's all. It works nicely. Okay? Is that okay? That answer your question? Yeah, you can walk, yeah. Anything else? Yeah.
I've also seen that what are these side effects? Like sometimes you also like chanting helps bring like positivity, and like like you become more positive.
Yeah.
You do not criticize others. These other qualities develop, and then but you've seen some devotees chanting good.
They're not chanting really. It looks like they're chanting, but they're not chanting. Real chanting is not like that. Real chanting is not just mouthing the words. If you're chanting, you're actually purifying your heart. But you can chant with offense. And that kind of chanting, it says that you can, one chants with offense, one may be chanting for thousands of lifetimes and never get the result of this chanting, which is pure love of God. Those who are, you have to chant, and you turn out a piece in each chant. We should cultivate that mood. The Shikshastikam prayers are a series of steps towards the perfection. The third prayer is the stage of how you should live. It's our consciousness. We should cultivate these four qualities: tolerance, humility, pridelessness, and respect for others. And chant the holy names. And it says if you're cultivating these things and chanting, then you can chant always. But if you're not, then you may be doing some lip service, but you're not getting much out of that. Anybody can sound the words, but real chanting brings about a purification of heart. Of course, even in the higher stages, people can commit offenses. And one of the offenses is to find fault with Vaishnavas. Because one of the things you have to be careful is that as you make advancement through the process of chanting, false pride can enter. You become, what we say, fixed in your Krishna consciousness, and then you start becoming a little bit self-assured or proud. And then you start thinking, I'm advanced, I'm better than these other devotees. I know more Shastra, I have better understanding, I know this, like that. And then that false pride causes you to make mistakes or to criticize. And then it causes you to commit offense, and offense blocks your spiritual progress. So, chanting means cultivating these qualities. That's the third verse. Then, if you're chanting, then what's the fourth verse? Nadanam, najanam, nasundaram. I don't want wealth, I don't want followers, I don't want the pleasures of the opposite sex. I don't even want liberation. What do I want? Janmani, janmani, ishvari, bhavatad bhakti. I want causeless devotional service at your lotus feet. That's all I want. So by cultivating the third verse, the fourth verse manifests nicely. Lord Chaitanya is teaching what is the quality of a Vaishnava. He's not aspiring for any material things. But that aspiration comes into reality when we cultivate these qualities on the basis of the third verse. The third verse is the platform of steadiness in our spiritual practice. If you're always cultivating these qualities, you'll always be steady in your spiritual progress. If you're not cultivating them, that means you're trying to develop them. Cultivation means you're trying to develop them. And then you're on the mental platform. You act according to how you feel rather than how you should act. If we act according to how we feel, then we're on the mental platform, because feelings are always changing. We should always be acting in accordance with the qualities of a Vaishnava. And then that allows for us to for the holy name to manifest. Anything else? Any other questions? Okay, almost 7 o'clock. Time for arati. Okay, 32 rounds. Are you fired up? Ready? Tomorrow, 32 rounds. Haribol. It's an experience. It's nice. We want to move forward in our Krishna consciousness. We're not satisfied where we are. We want to always make advancement. What is that advancement? Developing a taste for the holy name. That's the advancement. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Go Premanandi Hari Hari Bo.
Candramauli Maharaj ki jai.